Good morning everyone, my name's Nat, this is my Knackers Yard and welcome to Nat's Knackers Yard. Now what we got here is our SV650 that passed its MOT yesterday, which is brilliant. It's got a couple of issues to work through. First of all being it's got an oil leak I think around the seal, so I'm going to whip that off in a second and get on with some other bits. But I thought what I'd do to start with is just, because I am getting sort of questions over, oh, how do you do that and how are you doing that? I am just a tit in a shed, not even a man cave or not a workshop, just in my garage. Restrictions of language really, because if you say garage to an American, that's a business where they fix cars. They have carports or they have workshops, and routinely they're huge. I have what the US would call a carport. So I have a garage, like every other householder in the UK. It's full of crap at the back that you use once a year or once every 4 years, or in some cases boxes that you haven't opened since the last time you moved house. So I don't have a great deal of space. I've made the best of what I've got. I've got some decent tools, but nothing really worthwhile shouting about. A few bits and pieces that I've got kicking around the back that I'll go into in a second. Right, so the bits that I wanted to show you then really, obviously you've got my bench grinder / polisher, which is fairly new but worth its weight in gold, and I've got loads of use out of that already. Not very expensive, takes up a bit of space, but awesome. But the bit that I really wanted to show was my Nick Jr. So that's Nick, this is Nick Jr. So it's not a Dremel, it's a, I don't know what make it is actually, Everrise, never heard of it. I have had that a week. I've used it every day. I'm not entirely sure how I've survived quite so long without one. It is just, there's just the handiest thing in the world. The last thing you saw me use it for was just to whip off a cotter pin that I was struggling to pull out with a little cutting plate. How on earth I've survived quite so long without one, I have no idea. Brilliant piece of kit. Don't go buying big expensive brands, etc. Just grab one off eBay. That's what I did. A few bits and pieces I've got up on the wall, a little bit of, I look a bit anally organised. It's not, it's because I'm disorganised and I lose things if I don't put them back when I finish with them. One time's really good socket set, cheapy spanners, another good set, although because it doesn't do all of the numbers up, it goes 8, 10, 13, etc. Routinely I want the one in the gap, which is bloody frustrating, but ratchet screwdrivers, really, really useful. Shed load of cable ties, who hasn't got one? Good charger. So what am I trying to say? You don't need every bit of kit in the world. You can actually survive quite nicely without. Periodically you'll find bits and pieces that you need, but you can build it up slowly. You don't have to pay a fortune for everything. You don't have to get name brands and everything else. If you're prepared for the fact that, you know, you might get a year's use out of it before it snaps or before it breaks, just get a cheapy one. You don't need the big brands. Other bits, I've got a manual impact driver there. Again, you know, 12 quid-ish. It's not, you know, this isn't an expensive, it doesn't have to be an expensive game. And it's part of the reason I'm doing this, because, you know, I watch other channels and I watch a lot of other channels. There are some people with amazing setups and brill. It makes me jealous every time I watch them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need it. As long as you've got somewhere to store that's secure, or as secure as you can, somewhere to work that is ideally out the rain, under the lip of a carriage for example, or you buy a cheapy gazebo and chuck it up. It really doesn't matter. You do not need to spend a fortune doing these tasks. Right, mini rant over. Let's get on with, I'm going to take the side off that SV and just check the gasket seal out of it, because I think it's blown. Okay, so that's the side off. I've just peeled off a load of the old instant gasket. The gasket itself seems fine, so I'm just gonna, I've got some instant gasket somewhere, I'm just gonna recoat that and bang it back on, just as an indication of my age more than anything else. Lee Rigby ability, hilarious stuff. I'm not quite at the stage of Danny at DT Motorcycles S6 of doing banging hardcore and tunes. If nothing else, it's not just for the copyright infringements that you end up getting. I'm old and I like listening to stuff. Right, chisel. I'll go and get this cover sorted. Right, so that's the oil pan back on and the gasket fixed. I'm just going to let that settle, and to give me a bit of activity while that's settling and sorting, because I have topped up the oil. Another top tip from that to have in your garage: sawdust, particularly if you're a pillock and forget to put the fucking plug back in the oil pan before you start pouring the oil in. So, minor environmental disaster. Let's get this timed up whilst that gasket's settling. Right, so that's the gasket all settled now, pretty much, I think. Now, frustratingly, the only reason I haven't noticed this before is I think when the bike's on its side stand, because it's only got a side stand, and it tilts back, I don't think it puts any pressure on the bit that was leaking. So yeah, I'll see if that works. I need to run that new oil through it. Now it's got its MOT, I think one of the big selling points on it is a little loud bike, so I'm going to have to put that little exhaust back on. I think it's a feature, and that's just too bulky. So I just want to do a bit of a sound test actually. Engine on. So that's with no choke. It's quite cold. So that's what it sounds like. Throttle's a bit sticky again. Still a bit wet from yesterday. I'm not seeing any dripping oil. Saying that, I'm not sure I did before, so I'm going to whip that exhaust off and chuck the other one on. I might have to sacrifice the tape, but frankly the tape's been pretty much drenched in oil, so it's probably worthwhile getting rid of. Because unfortunately I started at the back and worked my way to the front, which means I can't unravel to get to the bolt. But we'll see what I can do. Alright, so I don't think I can deny it looks better with that on. See how it sounds. So much better. Sold. Yeah, so burning off the burning off the leaked oil. Can't see a leak, so I think that's sorted, although it is on its side still. Misfire is more pronounced, but I do have the spark plugs and coils, sorry, so I might just whip off those. On the charging, difficult to do one-handed. Let's see if I can show you. Come on. Yeah, so I was getting 12.35, I've let it run. Best connection here, which is great. There you go, that's better. So it's not dropping like a stone, so I'm not entirely sure what it is. I purposely had the lights on then as well. lights off. Since we're taking charge, see, that's holding quite steady. So I'll whip the lights back on. Expect it to excuse me, I wouldn't expect it to drop like a stone, so all of that is a little bit weird, but right, do what I can do. I'm going to try and swap out that spark wrong coil, so it's engine off and everything else off again, and it sounds great, love it, just with that misfire ain't good, I saw that.